I'd love to see everyone's face. This is a really personal and up close, connected, energy rich class. It's not a class, it's really a workshop, and it's really all about you and crafting and creating your perfect you 5 years from now. Anyone do this with me before? Show of hands. I've got a handful of people. Anybody ever take the Future Self workshop? Wham. All right. Well, welcome. I know we're supposed to have 23 or 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times 5 is yeah, I think we're there. So we've got what I believe everyone here. Did everyone get the handouts and the tools for today? Yep. I see Niale's on the on our she's my right hand. She's the fixer. Anything that's not right, she fixes it, and she's my right hand. So if you guys virtual applause for Niale for promoting, sending the necessary tools. She's gonna at some point, anybody not have them, just speak up. If you have them, you're good. So you can save them and you can reuse them, you can repurpose them. By the way, this strategy, if your intent is to build a team or hire people, and this is an amazing strategy for really connecting at a high level with the people that you want to be in business with for all the right reasons, okay? And I'll go ahead and share with you the source of this content comes straight out of CV. Who can tell me what CV is? It's a class.
Volume.
Career visioning.
Yes, Sarah, you get the prize. Ding, ding, ding. So career visioning is one of my favorite workshops. It's a 2-day workshop where you learn the ins and outs of how to ask all the right questions to make sure that you're a perfect match for a potential team member or hire. And when you follow the steps and you don't deviate, the odds of making a significant error or mistake in judgment, really, I mean, you have to ignore all the red flags because you ask so many questions in so many almost circular ways that eventually the truth is going to show up, whether they want the job or not. You know, people tend to manufacture energy around what they think they want, and they tend to also answer the way they think you want them to answer. Am I right? And so by virtue of following every step in the career visioning process, it's virtually impossible to hide from your truth or reality. And eventually you'll know who you're going into business with and be able to assess whether the risk is worth it and what you really want from that experience. And more importantly, what they want. I was asked not long ago, how do you retain people? Why do you have people on your team? I mean, I've had people on my team as 15, 16 years. I think Darcy's 16 now. And the only reason people tend to leave, especially on the support clerical side, marketing and transaction coordination, is they either elevate to another level or opportunity, or they physically move. I've had a couple of team members move to St. Simon, start their own business, and I'm happy for them. And I'm asked, how do you retain? And I know it's because I'm really funny and enjoyable to be around, and I'm making things up now. Actually, that's probably, it doesn't hurt, because I try to be fun and I try to reward and inspire people and create good energy. But honestly, it's because their goals are being met. It's because their trajectory 5 years from now is aligned with the opportunity and the role. And so inside of the career visioning strategy, there's a section called Future Self. And I will tell you, the version that they teach in it is not as robust as this. This is me 20 years hiring and occasionally having to make a decision to let someone go, and occasionally just waking up going, we're not a match. And every time I do that, I look back over my shoulder and try to figure out where I went wrong. What could I have done better, differently, more effectively? And when I look back at the process, it's usually buried inside of CV, and I just ignored the red flags. And it's usually there. You know, the fact that they had 3 bosses in a row that they hated and that didn't align with them, what would prevent me from being the 4th? And there are clues. I'm just saying, there are clues, and history often repeats itself. And the other piece of it is they weren't clear in what they wanted with their wheel of life 5 years from now, because when you support someone holistically, it's stickiness, and it's relationally, it'll turbocharge your relationship. So the premise behind this was, hey, this is a great way to really understand how someone thinks. And again, some of the questions in CV are very almost rhetorical, like, you know, tell me about successes, tell me about a few failures. And like, you know, and the failures like, I worked too hard. And you're like, that's not really a failure, but okay. or, I sometimes won't give up. Yeah, still not a real significant failure, depending on the detriment, but nonetheless, you get the point. But when you get to the place where you're like, tell me about the 12 key areas in your life and where you are and where you want to go, it's hard to make up a story around this. It's hard to be authentic, and you'll really get to know their drivers, their motivators. And it's a really neat way to get connected to someone at a really deep level. I've actually had people tell me at the end of the process that I know them better than their spouse. Let that sink in. And I'm like, oh boy, like I'm part of me is like, wow, that's kind of cool. And then I'm like, that's not that cool. Like I'm glad I could ask really deep, honest questions and go 3 deep. But some of these, a piece of advice, have conversations with your significant others around the things that matter. Make sure they script a version of this. If you're going to come in and go, hey, I have this 5-year vision for my life and you're part of it, make sure their version of this syncs up and that you've got room for compromise and contribution to each other. And so there's another helpful piece of advice on just relationship maintenance and enhancement advice. So I've got a few things. So normally this is done in person, and normally the gift in doing it in person is that we all collaborate and we share our best ideas and thoughts around next level significance and purpose and joy and fun. And what I know is, having done this probably 50 times in a public setting, is that invariably your idea is someone else's idea yet to incubate and hatch. Does that make sense? It's very common that, Val, you might go, man, I want to travel to all 7 continents. And I know you're a traveler. You've probably already done this. And I want to take my wife and my kid, and I want to do this. And someone's like, I never really thought about that as a bucket list goal, but how cool would that be? And all of a sudden they adopt your vision of cool, and it didn't cost you anything to share it, but you enhance someone else's life with a bigger lens for what it might be. And so in a virtual world, this is a very weird, it's no longer weird. It's just what it is, but it's not as connected as me being able to go over and high five you, or, just share with the world that I love your idea, and the rest of the audience, go, wow, I hadn't thought of that. Maybe I can tweak that and make it mine. But I'd like to try. Can we do that? Just all commit to authentic transparency and do our best to share our best thoughts and ideas. And because your aha, I promise you, is someone else's potentially undiscovered or not as clear as it could be once you've shared it. So in the session, I've got you till 4, right? That's a long time. So if you need a break, I'm not a rule follower. I'm not a stopper. That's just my DNA. I get going, man. I'll go 3 straight. So someone in charge, like in an hour and 10 minutes, like at 2:45 or something, just hit me with either a chat or raise your hand and go, hey, probably good time for a break. And then along the way, if you have to step out, I fully respect that you've got lives to live and businesses to grow and clients to answer to. But as connected as you can be with me, the better. And if you have to, you just have to. I won't take offense. As often as you can keep your camera on, man, I feel your energy right now, and I hope you can feel mine. And this is going to be a magical afternoon. Lee Taylor's got both fists in the air. Thank you, Richard. I love acknowledgement. And if you have an aha and you don't want to interrupt, or there's a flow, don't let it go to waste, man. Every aha is powerful. Pop it into the chat and just throw into the chat, hey, this really struck me, or that was something I haven't thought of that way, or I'm going to go back to this. I've had the idea 100 times, but an idea unrealized is nothing more than a trivial thought, right? An idea unrealized is just a trivial thought. Trivial thoughts don't take you anywhere. Okay. So this is the idea. The idea today is you're going to take yourself places, and our collaborative energy is going to be amazing. So ground rules, no real ground rules. We're going to have fun. I explained why we taught it, where I derived it from career visioning. And by the way, I substitute this entire, so you can keep all of the parts. And if you want to use it in your career visioning, go for it. This is not proprietary, not trademark. Most of it's borrowed and modified, but I would hardly claim it as my exclusive material. So feel free to substitute. In career visioning, there's just 4 key boxes that you ask them about 4 important things. I think when you limit it to 4, they'll pick the easy 4 or the 4 that excites them. And you might miss an opportunity to help coach and consult them up in a key category. Just my humble opinion. So I like the more holistic approach. I'll add one more thing about career visioning in this tool that's important. Not everybody is comfortable talking about all areas of life. I give everyone the green light to raise their hand and stop me, or, personally, I want people on my team that are cool being transparent, open, and fully authentic in what they want so that I can help them. It's not a selfish goal, it's unselfish. But I'm telling you, when you get to like spiritual or, sometimes family issues are sensitive, and for you to go, what are your family goals? And maybe they've just gone through a difficult situation or lost a family member. And doesn't mean you don't want to talk about it. It means they may not be ready. And so before I embark on this with them, I say, hey, these are 12 categories that over time, I believe encompass most of life's big rocks and big decisions and big goal setting categories. If any of these don't resonate, or you're not prepared, or don't want to deal or talk, or it doesn't matter to you, just tell me and we'll cross it off the list. It's irrelevant to me if it's irrelevant to you. And that gives them the green light not to feel pressured either. I've never had it come back to haunt me, but every time I start talking about these, it does, there are certain people that are more guarded than others. And by the way, there's a reason the future self part of the career visioning process is so deep into the process. At that point, you probably had 2 or 3 meetings. You've probably asked 100 questions 100 ways. If you're not connecting by the time you get to future self, they're probably not a good match. Make sense? Little head nod's good. Thank you for that. All right. Well, I'd usually take the first 30, 45 minutes and share a little bit about just the concept of future pacing, the reticular activator, mind over matter, the reverse paranoid theory. There's a handful of things that I think psychologically set you up for success with any goal and any big vision or anything that you think out of reach. And so I'm going to do that. I'm going to follow the script just like I always have, and kind of talk about it. And I'll start with something kind of cool. The idea is to create holistic purpose. So I'll start with that as a definitional statement. The goal behind this is that you've got a holistic, purposeful life view that you can live into. And I'll share one more thing on the topic. These are all, again, wishful, thoughtful things that you're going to craft today. If they don't make it to your day planner and part of a ritualistic activity or purposeful approach, they're probably going to stay on paper and stay one-dimensional. So I love the saying, if it's not in my calendar, it doesn't exist, or on my day planner. And I live in that space. It is so easy to let things go in a week, a month, a year from now, go, yeah, I meant to go back and do that, or take that course, or experience that, or travel. But the minute you craft it and write it in your day planner, it takes on a life of its own, and becomes real, and it's an appointment. And so there's no more important appointment, in my humble opinion, than one with yourself. And this right here will signify your greatness, and having appointments with your greatness seems like a pretty important thing, if you ask me. Everybody down with that? So at the end of this, don't let paper get shoved in a drawer or under other stacks. Find a way to publish it, and I'll share with you my strategy for keeping this omnipresent towards the end. But just be aware, if it's not your day planner, it doesn't exist. So here's a cool story. I'll start with this. According to the Roman poet Ovid, O-V-I-D, I think that's how you pronounce it, or Ovid, the sculptor Pygmalion could look at a piece of marble and see sculpture trapped inside of it. In particular, Pygmalion had a vision of this idea, the zenith of all his hopes and desires, a woman named Galatea. One day he began to chisel the marble, crafting it to his vision. When he was finished, he stepped back and admired his work. It was absolutely stunning and beautiful. Galatea was more beautiful than a sculpture. The statue represented every hope, every dream, every possibility, every meaning of beauty, and beauty itself. Inevitably, Pygmalion fell in love, but he was no fool. He was not in love with the statue, but of the possibility of his ideal coming to life. That's what I want for you today, is to craft the perfect statue of the ideal for your life, recognizing this is a one-dimensional sheet of paper, but when it comes to life in the form that you allow it to, that it becomes the most beautiful thing on the planet. I've learned this too. Many people overestimate what they can do in a year. Anybody set annual goals? Show of hands. Set annual goals. Let me see that you're watching and listening. Anybody ever fail to hit your goals? Keep your hand up. So what do you tend to do at the end of a year when you don't hit your goals? Unmute. Say it.
Start all over.
You just start all over. So I love and I'm sure everyone would say something similar. You'd probably reassess, recalculate, maybe marginalize them or enhance them. And so, by the way, quick tip, if you take your annual goals and divide them into 9 months, so that if you wanted to do 12 deals in 1 year, do 12 deals in 9 months as your goal. So subdivide. So it's like 1.3 per month instead of 1 a month. And I'm using easy round math, not to challenge myself today. Make fourth quarter your makeup quarter. Make fourth quarter your catch up. Make fourth quarter your quarter off if you hit your goal through September. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So I find when I coach people, they often get somewhere into the October, November realm. They start to panic attack because they're not getting it. And they're like, I don't know how I can do this in 60 days. And there's no backup plan to finish their goal before the end of the year, and they time out. So by creating your 12-month goals inside of 9 months, put the pedal to the metal, crush it, and then earn the right to take a deep breath and coast if you want fourth quarter, or continue your pace or dial it up. But at least you've got a backup plan attached to it. So there's a quick tip of the day, just from a productivity perspective. There's also some theory behind energy you put behind things. So when you craft this today, there was a study done, in fact, and one of the most well-known psychological experiments ever performed was led by Robert Rosenthal. He went into an elementary school and administered aptitude tests on all the students in a particular class. And 3 students were identified as academic superstars. The teacher was told they were special, but the teacher couldn't tell them or treat them differently or any other unique way, and that they would be monitored every day to make sure that they followed the script of not treating them differently. At the end of the year, those 3 finished tops in the class, posting off the chart abilities and capacities and intellectual abilities. The catch, but actually they all tested middle of the class. They were totally average at best in intelligence and capacity at the beginning of the year. The belief is that the teacher did send nonverbal messaging throughout the year, digested by the students, and then manifested into reality. And so what I like about that story is that it's basically telling us that if you want to, you can almost will things into existence if the energy's right and you believe it. The teacher didn't second guess their capacity, but they were monitored. They didn't, give them cheat sheets or extra study time but at the end of the day, when you finish this, I hope that you look at yourself in the mirror and go, I am a special person capable of anything. And I love the saying that Jack Canfield says, and sometimes your goals will change. And my feedback on goal changing is that I want this goal or better. And that's a neat way to give yourself room to explore. So it's not permanent, but it's as good or better. The other thing, so back to the 1 year goal setting, what I find is people overestimate what they can do in a year and often come up short, and they underestimate 5. And because you're chronically cycling back to 1 year goals, you never let your brain and your heart out to really wander the possibilities of the universe. You really constrain, because we all look at a year, and even though we often set high goals, they're still inside of 12 months. And there's only so much any human being can do inside of 12 months. But what I want you to do today is just play the what if game. What if I had infinite resources? What if I had infinite capacity? What if I had an infinite arsenal of good role models to inspire and help me grow? What if I had a supporting cast around me to inspire me to always keep my best foot forward and rebound quickly from setbacks? What if I simply took the necessary steps early enough in the process that I reap the reward, or you can course correct before you start to resign or give up, which often happens again at the end of the first year. But going 5 years, it's okay if you don't hit your goals in year 1. The goal is the collective, and you want it, instead of being stacked, you want it to be a linear experience, so that you don't just start over and have Groundhog Year and find yourself bouncing on the same, slippery slopes. Rick Baldwin, are there handouts? Did you get them? You didn't, you got them. Okay, good. Just making sure. I think there's power in psychology, and there's power in trick psychology. And I've talked to, I don't know if anybody saw the Mojo Monday video I shot with Brett. I got a thumbs up from Rick. Thank you for watching. We're going to do that every weekend. We're going to record a Mojo Monday, just a quick 15-minute, here's some energy for you, positive energy, positive resources, positive mindset stuff. And in it, I just talk about the power of the subconscious mind. And, I know you've heard the reticular activator. Show of hands. Actually, you know what? You may not have. Who's not familiar with the reticular activator? Not familiar. All right. So we're about 50 darn 50. This is awesome. Lee Taylor, you know of the reticular activator. Do you have the ability to pop in and share what your thoughts are? And I'll echo my opinion.
Oh God, Rick, can you hear me?
Yeah, no pressure, brother. We didn't script this at all.
It's about the ability of your brain to activate on things you're focused on. It's your brain thinking ahead almost of the things you're focused on. And a good example is you just bought a car. Maybe it's a Volkswagen, maybe it's a blue Volkswagen. And what happens is you start noticing dozens and dozens of blue Volkswagens all along the road. I think that's a pretty good example that a lot of the pop psychologists use. Isn't that right?
I think you're spot on, brother. So I'll add to it. I think you did a marvelous job. Everybody, quick thumbs up for Lee for jumping in. That was awesome. So your brain is nothing more than a riddle solver. You guys get that, right? It's working in your sleep. That's why you dream. That's why, and I don't know, there's a statistic. There's something like 86,000 seconds in a day, and your brain is bouncing like a pinball the whole time. And, if you're like me and you claim a little bit of ADD, it's even probably exacerbated a little. All that to say, in its riddle solving capacities, your subconscious brain doesn't know the difference between made up and real. You have to process if it's real or not, but your brain absorbs energy, and then you have to literally put that logic part of your brain to analyze, process, and then put a valuation on it, or put a stamp of assignment, if you will. You assign value. And here's how I know, just a quick example. And I shared this, and I'm sorry I'm repetitive for Rick since he heard the call, but it's like a scary movie. I'm not a real fan of ugly, mean clowns. Anybody see the movie It, Stephen King? That was that clown haunts me. And I promise you, I could watch that movie, and for an hour or two, I have to process out that was made up in Hollywood. And so that tells me right away, before that guy even shows up with his teeth and eats a small child, which actually happens. If you haven't seen it, spoiler alert. You're just like, I know it's made up. I know it's cinematography. I know it's, I know. And my brain still, it left an imprint in my brain. And I have to now rinse, process, and remove it, or put it in a shelf somewhere and let it sit there for a while I go back to normal. Another example, anybody like to watch, Hallmark movies, or Where the Red Fern Grows, or what are the, when that dog died, did anyone not cry? Spoiler alert, it's 30 years old. I hope you all saw it. If not, the dog lives. Anyway, if you did, thanks for laughing with me, Kurt. I shouldn't have given it away. I cried my eyes out. Did anybody actually think the dog died? Like in the real world? The answer is no. We know they didn't kill. I hope they didn't. Maybe back then they didn't have PETA or animal control rights, but I would think that that was a really cool dog. And anyway, the point in all of it is, if you feel emotional energy over something that's completely made up, how much more power is there behind the things that are real? But I'm telling you now, your brain doesn't always know the difference. And the experience you have is between your ears 99% of the time. I think it was Winston Churchill had a quote that I've suffered many traumas, trials, and tribulations, most of which never happened. Let that soak in for a second. I've suffered many trials, tribulations, and horrific events, most of which never happened. And so the quicker you can shake off negative and you can process to the positive, the better. And the information you give your subconscious brain every morning and at night, those are the two critical key times in the day, where if you feed it good information and positive news and inspired thoughts and devotionals or meditate, anything that puts you in a positive space, it gives your brain permission to go work on that riddle, not the riddle of, how we solve a crime wave in Baltimore or wherever. I'm making up stuff, but you get what I'm saying? Whatever you just saw, your brain has to rinse through that and figure out where to put that information permanently. So my thought today for you is that if you craft a perfect you 5 years from now and you look at the holistic plan every day, your reticular activator, Lee nailed it. It's busy trying to connect the dots. Just like you're like, man, I really wish I had a blue Volkswagen Jetta. And all of a sudden, man, your brain's like, all right, we're going to find you a Jetta. You clearly, I promise you guys are going to see Jettas now. And I love the example. I forgot about this. It's kind of funny. Everybody take a second and think about an elephant, a big, strong, long tusked elephant. Everybody got it in their head. Now think about that same elephant with black and white polka dots. Now stop thinking about a polka dotted elephant. It's going to take you a minute. I just messed you up. I've never seen one, but you just saw it. And it's now your brain's going, I don't think they exist. That seems made up. And they're like, what if it were? What if it were a zebra striped elephant? Let's switch gears. What if the zebra stripes were yellow and orange? Think about that. You know that's not real. Your brain's processing right now. And I'm sorry I did that other than proving a point. I'm not sorry. I think it's fun. So y'all having fun with me yet? So you get the power of subconscious energy. You get the power of planting the right seeds early. You're still going to get barraged with negative energy and negative people and negative news. But if you put the good stuff in first, the odds of it sticking goes down, because there's not infinite space in your heart and mind in any given moment. Do you believe that? There's not infinite space. It only focuses on, now it might task switch often, it may bounce, but in one given moment, it's impossible to have multiple. That's why Gary in The One Thing talks about multitasking. Can somebody unclick and tell me how he defines, when you say, oh, I'm a great multitasker, what are you really doing? Who knows? Who's a student of the game? Great book.
Not giving 100% to everything you do.
He does. But when you think you're multitasking, anybody know the answer? What he called it? You're task switching. That's all you're doing. You're not multitasking. You're just bouncing back and forth, and you're diluting the benefit of focused energy to a keyest point. You've totally diluted that moment with 15 other things that distract you from your primary goal. And so the idea behind this too is you fill your brain and your heart with the good stuff. It will seek out evidence that exists. That's what it's supposed to do. It's there to protect you, and it's there to inspire, and it's there to take you places. You just have to be careful what gets in, because you've got to fight off the things that aren't real. And this is as real as it gets if you want it to be real. I'll add one more thing while I'm just kind of on a roll, and I'm not following my script, but it's important. There's a concept in the book, Success Principles by Jack Canfield. Anybody read that book? 1, 2, put it on your list, please. It is a 66 chapter book. Everyone's like, hell no, I'm not putting it on my list now. You know what's awesome? The chapters are like 4 pages long.
What's the name
3
again?
pages. The Success Principles. Niali, if you're still with us, are you still hanging here? I don't see I'm only on one screen. I can't see everybody. Oh, there you are. So if anyone who wants to post the connection to it, like a link, it's by Jack Canfield. He wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul, co-wrote it. I don't know the author because I never read him, but I read Jack Canfield because I love that guy. He wrote the book Success Principles. One chapter is on becoming an inverse paranoid. Do you know people in the world that think the world's working against them? Who did coaching? Sarah. Holy cow. That's pretty awesome. You're gonna have to share that in a second, so collect your thoughts. So most people wake up, I think the average person who's not really A game and poised for greatness, and it's only because they haven't staged that visual and lived into it. But his concept is stop thinking the world's working against you and start believing the world is actually working for you. And that even your trials, even the setbacks are part of the master plan to your greatness, because we all fail forward. And so when you think and feel that way, all of a sudden detriments become assets. And the psychology of setbacks is just part of the journey. And the inverse paranoid theory says that the world's conspiring to my benefit, and I'm okay with that. And so some of these thoughts are like, you may go, a little airy-fairy, a little hokey. My humble belief is that if you adopt them, your world changes. and just test it. Just test it. Every day, one of your affirmations is the world is conspiring to my greatness. The world is conspiring to my greatness. People want to work with me. People want to hang out with me. I'm here to contribute and make a difference. That's kind of a version of my mantra. If it's to be, why not me? That's one of my favorites. If it's to be, why not me? Somebody's going to be the next MREA agent. Somebody's going to be the next person to be an MREA agent and only work 6 months a year. It can happen.
Millionaire real estate.
Huh?
Okay. Sorry.
Yep. You're unmuted, Lee, but you're right. It's the millionaire real estate agent. He's coaching in the backdrop. So anyway, the point in all that is that somebody's going to do it. If it's to be, why not me? Inverse paranoid theory at Kenneth. I don't know what that means, but okay.
Hey, Rick Hale.
Yes.
I was talking to Sean Damon last week about classes like this one, and on his list was Success Principles. Is that a class that you teach as well?
It is. I've summarized it into, like, I took each one and I hand select a few and I go through the 66 principles. I haven't done it, Rick. I bet it's been 5 years, and it's a killer one. I'm glad you said that.
Well, it'll be on your list for this year because Sean and I are putting you on the schedule.
I'll make it happen. Just let me know when and we'll publish. We'll make it a global event.
All right.
I'm telling you, that book's probably one of the single most inspiring and impacting books I've ever read, because it's just like the wheel of life. It's a holistic conversation. It's not about just becoming a good salesman or a good negotiator or a good runner or a good fill in the blank. It's like, how do you have a big life and have it all? And it's not about quantum leaps. It's about small steps in the right direction, holistically, regularly, with purposeful intention. Sarah, you want to share your coaching, how that went down real quick? That's super cool.
Well, in 2005, my father died, and I left me a little money, and I was at a crossroads in my life, and I was working in technology, a miserable job. And my boyfriend at the time, who was now my husband, said, you know, your dad would love if you invested in yourself. And I had bought the book Success Principles. I'd met Jack at a conference and we had a conversation. I told him that I wanted to be one of his coaches. I wanted to work with him. And so I took some of that money that it wasn't a lot, but I took that money that I got as inheritance, and I invested in a year of coaching with him on the Success Principles. And that was in 2006, and it changed the trajectory of my life. And anyway, so yeah.
In honor of your dad too, which is even.
It was hard to spend that money, you know, but it was the best investment I could have made, because it was it literally changed the course of my life, and as a result, the course of my children's lives and everybody around me. So it had a ripple effect.
Wow, that's awesome. Everybody thumbs up that. That's beautiful. Thank you. That's beautiful. And you reminded me of my friend Mike Ayala, who was on one of my Rockstar Zooms last year. I'm going to do this year, we're calling it Millionaire Conversations with Millionaires and empire builders, basically. And these are people that are multi-millionaires. And my belief is, you know, back to if it's to be, why not me? And there's a riddle, there's an algorithm to solve every riddle. And there's a formula. There's nothing you can't be, have, and do if you make the sacrifice and you put yourself in your best light and really swing for the fence. It may not happen overnight, but it's not if, it's when, if you really believe in it and want it. And I know, again, I every now and then I hear myself, I'm like, God, that sounds kind of, you know, hokey and utopian. And I'm being transparent with you, man. I look over my shoulder at who I am, where I am, who I'm in business with, and what I've helped build. I built very little by myself, nothing really. And I just pinch myself, but it started 20 years ago. And it started really 25 years ago. And it started with the first step. And I'm convinced that 25 years from now, someone in this call right now is going to be 10 times bigger, better, stronger, faster than me, doing this because they care about humanity. Lee Taylor's already claiming the throne. So just be aware. And no one succeeds alone, but it started with the ability to take my brain, my short visioned, here I am brain, and go, What does it look like to open up the lens? What does it look like to let the horses out of the barn and really run? What does it look like to quit pumping the brakes? What does it look like not to tell myself you can or can't and just let it be and just do the work to get there? Find good role models, emulate them. And again, if you, as I have achieved in certain categories, some categories slipped, but by keeping a holistic view of this posted, they won't slip long enough that they crush you. You won't lose key relationships. You won't lose your health. You won't, because it's all indoctrinated into your master plan. And so all I'm here to do is, hopefully my goal is to inspire you to think big and stop pumping brakes and just hammer the gas and then let it be what it's going to be. And again, and make a difference in the world because you're kind, caring, and giving. And the lessons you learn are the gift. That's the gift you give back to the world. So we're made up of energy. Would you agree with that? So this is also part of, if you're made up of energy and like kind attract, would you agree with that? Would you agree that the complaining naysayers of the world tend to find themselves at the coffee pot or the coffee maker and in the break room? And positive people don't hang with that very long. They're like, yeah, that's great, I gotta go. And so all I'm saying is, if like kind attract, you becoming your best will ultimately result in having the best around you. And we're spiritual beings. And I love this. If you, hopefully everyone's signed up for family reunion. I'm not going to ask you publicly to profess. There it is. Way to go, Blaine. It's an incredible experience. It's like $80 or $100. I don't know. It's cheap. You don't have to travel, which is kind of a bummer, honestly. I think it's cool to go there, but at the same time, you're going to get the content, and it's going to be equally good content just in this setting or forum. And Gary does his quantum leap. Has anybody seen Gary's quantum leap? Yeah, there you go. I see a few hands. He tells a very intimate story. Am I right? I mean, the good, bad, the ugly. And he talks about energy. He said, I'm perplexed by the thought and I battle this. Are we physical people having spiritual experiences, or are we spiritual beings that just happen to be having physical experiences? Think about that for a second. Are we physical beings having spiritual experiences, or spiritual beings just having a physical moment? And honestly, the question is circular, and it's almost irrelevant other than to say, we have spiritual energy. There's just, we're made up of molecules that are moving. And if you, in science has proven that certain are attraction and certain are that don't attract, part of the magnet theory. And so just know, when you bring your best every day and you bring an enlightened spirit, your energy will impact other people, and it'll also demagnetize what it is that's not positive energy. And it'll also create a force field around you. So I love the idea of this being a visual you look at every day, and you pre-program your reticular activator to find people, circumstances, opportunities to grow and learn, and opportunities to do better work, and just put it to work. And that's the power of written goals. If they're not written, they don't exist. You'll quickly forget and your brain will distract itself. So the starting place, let's get into any ahas so far, any thoughts about anything shared or said that resonated? You can just unmute, and it can be short and sweet. It can be, where are you? How are you feeling about today? How about that question?
Hey, Rick.
Yes, sir.
It's Lee.
Hey, Lee.
I thought about something. Kit Cummings is the first guy I've ever heard say it, but what you focus on expands. That's the reticular activator.
That's right. It becomes omnipresent.
Right.
I think that's even a bold law. So maybe Diana Kokoska gave it to him, or I don't know.
It goes way back. Bold is old, right? It's old thinking that came around and packaged together in a great class.
I think you're exactly right. There's a lot of Stephen Covey in there, and all the greats, to be honest, Tony Robbins, but here's what's true. We've got to learn how to communicate differently with young people because of the way they hear things, see things, and the medium, if you will. But holistic, joyful energy is it never changes. The human spirit, the human condition, the human goal of survival and thriving. I mean, that's just innate. And so
if
how you package it.
Enthusiastic, you'll be enthusiastic. Right?
Thank you. I feel better already. Anybody else? I see Mika, you're on.
Enthusiastic, you'll be enthusiastic.
Go, Mika.
Oh, hey. So I took this Future Self my first year, And at that time, the statement, we overestimate what we can accomplish in 1 year and underestimate what we can accomplish in 5 years, didn't really sit with me as much as it does now at 3.5 years. So I am taking this again to really understand more principles. And I'm happy to say, yes, I overestimated year 1 and have continued to underestimate where I am now, and look forward to what happens in 5 and be able to report back.
I appreciate that. And here's a piece of advice. And I shared this on, when was this? Not that long ago. Oh, it was the ALC retreat. I had like 10 tips for having the most amazing year. And the last one is be kind to yourself. Y'all hear that? Love yourselves for where you are, man. You're exactly where you're. And here, space is not scared. Where you are today, even yesterday, you might hear, feel, or absorb something differently. And the circumstances might drive a different decision around what you're hearing. So thank you for coming back. This isn't a one and done. You could actually update this once a month if you really wanted. And it's not uncommon that I'll pull out my wheel, make sure that my day planner still reflects my global goals. And I'll also make modifications because it's all right. It's a moving target. Circumstantial things show up, health, well-being, a family member situation, someone leaves your team at work, you lose 3 listings in a row that you thought were going to sell, and now you don't have any inventory. I mean, all of a sudden, there's just energy that changes in your behavior or things you have to address, but you want to make sure you're still connected to the holistic. And when things don't go wrong, again, I think the secret to thriving when things aren't working well is to recognize the silver lining and what the gift and the lesson is. And if you live in that space, there's no bad experience. There's just an experience. And you're there to learn. And that's what we are as human beings. We're on a journey to hopefully become our ultimate best and to find our true calling.
It's also about remembering that this is the long game. It's not necessarily about 1 year, 5 years. I mean, I'm on the other side of the hill. You know, if you're looking at 100 years, and I mean, I'm 60. So I'm on that down side of that. And I have 40 years left. What am I going to be doing in that next 40 years that's going to change my life, the people I love, and what I'm doing, and how focused am I on that? But when I make a mistake, just going back to what you said, and I have a bad year, it's being kind to myself and remembering that it's the long game. And I personally sometimes have trouble with that.
Well, I appreciate the share. You're not alone. You're not alone. And, you know, I also remind myself that most of my detriments are very first world detriments. I'm not missing meals. I have cold running clean water. I have people that love me, that'll accept me even when I stink it up and blow it. And that's just beautiful, you know, and that's comfort. So the goal is to be kind to yourself and be forgiving, but then don't let yourself off the hook. So don't live in that space for too, like, it's okay. Like, just, it doesn't help to chastise and criticize yourself. Self-analysis is a different approach. So self-analysis is cool. Self-criticism and harmful thoughts are not. So just separate the two and get clear. So here's something to think about. How does GPS in a car work? Someone who hasn't spoken up. How does it work? That's like me asking how the internet works, by the way. I'm not going to ask you that question.
Step-by-step direction telling you where to turn and how far to go.
So that's the outcome of an effective GPS. How does it actually work?
Yeah, you have to put in where you're going, and then it's there.
All right. So you got half the battle, Val. If it knows where you're going, at least knows the destination. What if it doesn't? It has to know where you are. That's right. That's right. Thank you for the share. So GPS, if it can't locate you, it's not going to help you get where you're going. And if it knows where you are, but you don't know where you're going, it's pointless because it's well aware of your circumstance and there's no direction or intel on turn left, turn right, turn left. And so what I've described the next step in the process, and I have a process to work you through this. So if you're like, I don't know how to craft this 5-year thing, or it's a big thing, we're going to make it bite-sized pieces, which, you know, the proverbial polka dotted elephant that you just forgot about that's now back in your head. It's one bite at a time. That's how you eat an elephant. And that's how we're going to tackle your 5-year future self. Step one, I'll publish it. Pull out your life wheel. I'll do a screen share just to have as a reference. At least I hope I'm sharing. Can everybody see it?
We can see it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, good. For some reason, I've lost everybody. I'm going to have to, I don't have the side panel view. Let me figure out how to do that. There we go. I got you back. So I have at least 5 of you. So if you engage, I get to see you, and that's a gift to me, and I appreciate you. You move to the top of the list when you unmute and share. I guess you guys probably all know that. And some of you are like, that's why I'm not sharing. Shame on you for not contributing and connecting. So this wheel represents my best guess at what a holistic success story would look like if you maxed out each category. I'll forewarn you about a few things. One, a 10 for you is not a 10 for me, is not a 10 for Mika and Val. You have to define what a 10 is in your paradigm of success. And this goes back to being honest, but not harsh. And I've seen people do zeros on things. I'm like, all right, so you claim a 0 or a 1 on health. You're here today and you are breathing. You had lunch. You've got fuel. Is it really a 1? And so just realize inside your paradigm, be kind, but reasonably honest. And so if does everybody have this at their veil on their desk or on wherever you are? So what I'm going to ask you to do is categorically put a dot on the continuum of 1 to 10 and rate yourself right now. Am I 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6, 7, 8, 9, 10? And put a dot, and then go to the next thing and put a dot. 1 to 10, family. 1 to 10, relationships, relations with family, with friends, romance, spiritual. And you can substitute, any word you want for anything. Like if you're like charitable's, contribution sounds like a physical contribution. Recognize charitability as kindness. Being charitable is showing up and supporting others. So you decide what it means. It doesn't mean a checkbook and tithing, although it might. That's for you to decide. Recreation. Everyone has their own perspective on recreation. That could be fun. It could be watching TV. It could be hiking. It could be still physical. And some of these are going to overlap. And when you do, I think there's a bonus value. If you like, what if you went on a hike that was very adventuresome in North Georgia to a waterfall? You get recreation checkbox. You get travel because you drove to North Georgia. If you went with someone special or your family, you check that box. You benefited your health. That's awesome. If you went alone, you could listen to a inspiring podcast or audible book. There's education. So these all overlap. But I'm going to take a minute. We're going to get quiet, and you're just crank through 1 through 10. Don't put a lot of thought. Stream of consciousness. If you're having an off day just today, don't rate everything to this moment. Kind of go like this week or this month or how I generally feel. Does that make sense? Sometimes you get in a fight with someone special this morning and you're like, well, romance is a -3, but not tomorrow and not yesterday. So make sure you kind of weigh in on immediate circumstance. Any questions? All right. Once you do all the dots and you fill out all 12 or the ones that matter to you, connect the dots. It'll give you a visual for how round or how balanced your life currently is. And again, you just have to also assume that certain categories may not be as important. So if they're deflated a little, so what? That's not important. This is your story, not mine, and we're not competing. And I'll just keep an eye out when you're done. Just look up so I know you're done. It should take about 3 or 4 minutes max. This isn't a real head scratcher. This should be, where you are. How we doing? If you need more time, just unclick and I can only see 5 at a time. Anybody need more time? We can take another minute or two. All right. Well, I'm going to keep going. If you're still working on it, no sweat, keep working on it. And take those and connect the dots all the way around. Did everybody do that? Any ahas from your wheel? Does it look like a wheel or more of a starfish? That's mine right now. I'm feeling pretty good. I've been working on this a long time though, and I'm pretty strategic about each category, making sure I honor them. So if yours has 1s and 2s, that's okay. That means you have tremendous opportunity to experience a quantum leap. And I think that's awesome. There's nothing worse than rating yourself 10s all the way around. I mean, what do you wake up looking forward to? What's the real, what mountain are you going to climb that you can, do your victory dance on if you're already on top of the mountain? Anyone want to share what they saw and felt just for fun? No pressure.
I think that the interesting thing is that as you're going along, like filling it out, you can kind of already start to think of certain ways that you can improve these areas that you may be on the lower scale of.
That's the goal, brother. You're on track. I like it. It's not where you are, it's where you're going, right? So I'm going to share the next step. The next thing we're going to do is talk about intentions and goals. I hope I brought it up and saved it. I don't see it. Give me 1 second to see if I can find intentions. All right, let me go back. One more second.
I popped it in the chat.
Can you just bring it up on the screen? For some reason, I've opened it 3 times and it's not showing up as an open file. The intention worksheet. So it looks like, there you go. Man, thumb up, everybody. Niale saving the day as usual. I'm so dependent. If you don't have talent in your life that makes you look, feel, and behave better and hold you accountable, you need to find it. So here we go. So the idea here is that who can best describe their understanding of the difference between an intention and a goal? Just to have some fun. I'm trying not to do all the talking.
An intention is what you want to do, and maybe a goal is how to get to that end goal or that end.
Yeah, you're close. That's actually not even close. I think you're spot on. An intention is why the goal matters, or the outcome of, and when I say why it matters, how do you want to feel about it? As a good example, what's the intention of health? Anybody have a good answer?
Feel good in your body.
Say it again, Kelly.
So you feel good in your body.
That's right. So you feel good. You're energized. You're inspired. Another intention might be that one day you want to see grandkids in your life or great grandkids, and so health is the one thing you can work on all of these. If health goes away, it's just not good. Like there's really no way around feeling great about all the categories. So that should always be a priority.
I have another definition from the military. So the intention is your final stage after you achieve your goals. It's something in the future, your intention. You are thinking today about the future, and what is that final stage after you achieve all your goals? In the military is all your objectives, by the way.
Well said. Thank you, Richard. So we're going to take some time now. Hopefully you printed this out and just start with intentions. Don't worry about goals. For each category, write a simple, there's not a lot of space, but you should be able to put 4 or 5 words or a sentence. What is the ultimate 5-year from now intention? Or even it could be your forever intention. Like health is like, I don't think 5 years from now you change your intention for health, but your perspective might change. But quickly write your intention down. and just work through the entire list. This is where I need like some Baroque music in the background, some thinking man's music or thinking woman's music, not to be sexist. Kelly had a funny thought.
I'm laughing at Lee Taylor's comment.
Oh, I haven't gotten to the, oh, he's, Lee always has amusing thoughts, for the record. Now I've got to go read it. Metallica. Oh boy. Is that an intention or a goal?
I think that was a substitute for the Baroque music.
Ride the Lightning. What's your favorite? All right, moving on. All right, so when you get there, look up. We can go another minute. This takes a little longer than just quickly scanning. I think Corey's staging a house while he's on with us today.
Yeah, Rick, pardon me, sir. I got about 15 things I'm doing at one time today, but I wasn't going to miss this. So
You're
you've
awesome.
had my ears all along.
No judgment at all. I love you, man.
You too, buddy.
You're task switching.
Yes.
right, we'll go another 60 seconds. Okay. So here's a thought. Keep working if you're working. I'd like to get some feedback and then we'll take a break. I said 2:15. Is that still good for everybody to take a quick, maybe 7 or 8, 10-minute break? We'll figure it out when we get there. But I've never done this, but I would love to hear your intentions. And if you feel compelled to share, and I'm happy to share. I went ahead and kind of quickly filled mine out as well. And just based on my energy today. So who wants to share? We talked already, we kind of did health, but anybody want to add your perspective on health intention?
Yeah, I'll add.
Sure.
So originally, when we did this last year, or whenever we did it, I put, be able to perform and play with the kids as I get older. And I kind of upped that to being able to exercise and play on sports teams with people my age. Be a little more active.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Good reason. All good reasons. Anybody want to do something? Let's just bounce through them. If you had a good health one, unclick and talk. If not, we'll move to the next one. I mean, health is pretty universal, but there may be something subtle that gives you life around a health goal or health intention.
So I'm going to make sure I understand. I mean, I always get intention and goals mixed up. So from what I understand, an intention is why the goal matters, right? And so for me, I want to live to 105. And why I want to do that is because I want to experience as many life milestones with my kids and my grandkids as physically and humanly possible. So I'm not sure if I got that mixed up or had.
I think you crushed it. I think you're spot on.
Okay.
So the intention is to live to 105 so you can experience all that life has to offer. And I paraphrased a little bit, but
I mean, it's just really my kids and grandkids milestones. Like I just found out my daughter's pregnant and she lives in Vietnam.
Oh, wow.
And she's 34. And so I'd like to see her daughter get married. So if we put her at 30, and I'm 64 right now, then that's how I can achieve my goal, right? I mean, anyway, I may be over 105, but I have to live at least till I'm 105. So, anyway.
Modern medicine, man, you got to watch what you wish for. And so like my thought around, like somebody said this not long ago, and I don't know, man, I'm not a doctor, nor do I profess to know, what it looks like to live to 120. But if modern medicine catches up and we eradicate cancers and we find it, I mean, what does that do? What if your physical body goes down before the cancer or the other things that are eating your body? I had that conflicted thought of maybe I don't want to be 120. I only want to be 120 if I can function at a level that's free from pain and that I can really be present and connected to the people around me. And so it goes back to an intention. But here, so you gave me the perfect setup, Sarah. So the intention is to live that long life, to explore all aspects of life and stay connected to family as they go through their seasons. The goal around that might be healthy eating, physical fitness. Those are the things that put you in position to win in that intention. Another way to look at the difference between intentions and goals, the intention is likely an internal driver and a force. And it's rare that intentions change significantly once you reach a certain mature state as an adult. Goals change every darn day. Like, my goal used to be, I'd like to be able to ride a bicycle. Well, how about this as a goal? There was a time when I thought, man, it'd be a cool goal to do an Ironman. As I get older, I'm like, yeah, that doesn't really fulfill me. That sounds like pain. But do I want to ride my bike 20 miles? Yeah. Do I want to run to the mailbox and back? Okay. I'm not really a great runner, but you get my point. Like at one point that would be a great goal, but the intention is still the same back then, is to feel competitive for my age and capable. So who wants to tackle the next one? Give me a family intention. Who's got one that might inspire? Or just, and by the way, remember when you profess to the universe is going to respond, because we're inverse paranoids now. So when you share it, it takes on a life of its own.
I have something.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So hi, everybody.
Hello.
So I actually, I'm going to go with family, and the intention I have is to build more intimate and closer intentional relationships with more distant family that is not like right in my household. And I want to have a closer relationship with them and be more intentional about building more deeper relationships. The goal is to actually, I'm going to start handwriting letters, and I'm going to send cards, and I'm going to send books as well, because when I talk to people, I try to listen to kind of like where they are in their season. So I just want to send them books sometimes that conversations can't get to. If I send them a book or something, I know that might help. So that's just a goal of mine.
So you've got family and coming from contribution and thoughtfulness. That's beautiful. Excellent. And we're going to take a minute after this to write goals. And the idea behind this sheet these are short-term goals, like immediate, like next 90 days, 60 days. And then we're going to take those and roll them into what 5 years from now looks like. This is the starter kit for your 5-year future self. This is a warm up. So thank you. Anybody want a relationship with friends? What did you put for an intention? Anybody have one?
I'll go. I always say relationship with friends, since a lot of my family is gone, but I have developed close relationships throughout the years with people from high school and college. We all stay in contact. And I think I want to continue to grow with them. As we get older, we have more time to share with each other. My intention is to stay healthy so that I can do that. But my intention also is to continue, maintain, and grow those relationships that I do have now.
Perfect. That's beautiful. Romance. Anyone who want to throw that out? What's an intention? All right. I'm not asking for key details, just the intention for it.
Hey, Rick.
All right, there it is. I had to clarify. Now everyone's in. Val, go, and then if you want to do, you can go.
I graded myself a 6, and my intention was to make that a 9. And so I've devoted and committed to investing time and money in accomplishing that.
All right. Anybody else? Akia, were you going to jump in? I saw it.
Yes, so my intention is to have a kingdom marriage and to grow old. So in this single season, it's preparing myself in order to be who I want to become before I get into the marriage with my spouse.
Everybody thumbs up that. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
For me is I need to learn how to separate time, with my wife, because we are partners, we are teammates, we work together as a realtor. So it's very difficult to have time just for us, not business. I need to learn how to do that.
All right. Well, the intention is the experience, the result of the experience. You also threw some goals in there, which is good. There's no flaw. This isn't about perfection, but just realize the intention would probably be a heightened relationship or greater connectivity or more intimate energy, or those are the things that come to mind. For me, it's connectivity. I want to be intimately connected in a way that that carries us through any storm, through any circumstance. Spiritual, anybody want to, have a good spiritual intention?
Stay rooted in it. Stay rooted in my intentional relationship with God, because ultimately that's where my help comes from, and it allows me to then pour into others.
Beautifully said. Okay. Charitable and contribution. Anybody got a good intention for that?
Yeah, I got to carry some more cash. On the spot. It's like, you got Cash App? Because I have no cash.
Well, the intention is probably, that's a goal to fulfill. Why would it matter that you carry cash? What's the intention though?
Hey, Rick, I got one.
Hold on. I'm at.
Oops, sorry. I
You're
apologize.
good. No, I asked a follow-up question.
Oh yeah, to be able to help someone in need right then. I just come across a lot of people that I feel like I need to help right then on the spot. Don't have a lot of relationship, but if I could just meet that need, and sometimes most times I just don't have the resource available to me. So
right. So the goal would be to create an easy access resource to fulfill the intention.
Yeah.
I had a friend I met with for breakfast today who actually said something really cool. I never heard it said this way. He said, the hand that gives is always on top.
Mm-hmm.
Is anyone else? I've never heard that. I thought, man, that's cool. And I don't mean on top, you're always going to win when you come from contribution. The hand that gives is always on. He trains teenagers, by the way. That's his focal point in his company. They do inspired leadership training for young adults. All right. Did anyone, Val, you were about to jump in. What you got?
So I started tithing a while back ago, and man, it is so powerful, and it becomes my driver for money, because I get to give 10% of that back, and a lot of times, whatever, anonymously or just help people out, and you get to really make somebody's day, have a huge impact on them. And you're throwing that out there in the universe, and the universe is going to give more of that back to you so that you can help other people. And just the joy that I get from helping other people, it lasts weeks. I think back of those memories, and man, it surpasses any other type of high, really.
Man, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
I'm sorry.
Givers get. That's the bottom line. Givers get. It's just a law. It's not just hypothetical.
Well, and it doesn't have to be monetarily either. It can be services or.
No.
Thank you. I appreciate the clarification, Jane. You're exactly right. In fact, the best gift you can give is time and
that's true.
And presence.
Right.
Yeah, I've noticed that, especially as I've got some friends, of course, we're older, but one that just went through cancer and a divorce at the same time. And, she had no cash. I mean, her finances were blown away. So for me, it just helped. I just would go out there and put money into her cash account.
Yeah.
And not to let you know it was me, but I just know that if I was in that circumstance, that situation, $100 can mean a meal. But especially what she was going through emotionally, but to know that somebody is there for her means a lot. And it feels like, okay, I did something. Okay, when I got my commission check, I can give some to, especially like people that I do know that need help. And going back to the tithing as well, which I started doing last year. So it's real important, the giving part of it. Not that you can say that, oh, well, look what I did, but inside, internally, she called me up crying, thanking me so much. So how does that make me feel,
That's beautiful, Randy. Thumbs up, everybody.
Yeah.
Thumbs up. So yeah, your subconscious brain's eavesdropping on every thought and every activity and every behavior. And man, when you feed it joyful, positive, contribution-minded experiences, man, it just flourishes. It's like fertilizing and watering a plant. I mean, it comes alive. So that's awesome. Anybody else moving through them?
I just wanted to say, Rick, that I want to give, and I do give for cancer researchers for children. So I've been contributing to that. That's been on my heart and mind for years. And so I started giving to cancer research and specifically to the children's contribution.
Well, thank you. I have a nephew in New York that's battling cancer now. It's third year of chemo and radiation, and things are looking good. So
that's great.
We're going to beat it one day.
Amen.
Recreation, anybody? What's the point in recreation, right? What's the intention? I'm being funny. That should be the easiest one on your list.
Experiences.
Right on. Why are experiences important?
Because I don't know, at the end of your life, you're not remembering how much you sold one year, or if you made your goals, you're remembering all the experiences that you had in with your family, with your friends, with your romance, with your spirituality. I mean, everything, in my opinion, I mean, I may be making this too simple, but all of these things boil down to, and my intention is experiences, so that at the end of my life, I'm remembering experiences with recreation, adventure, travel, you know,
sure,
what I gave back. I mean, I don't know. Am I not, maybe I'm not.
You're spot on.
Big enough.
You're spot on. The intention is whatever you want it to be, whatever feels holistically, an 8, 9, or a 10 in your book. So adventure and creative, anybody, we're going to go kind of quick through these, just one quick one. Why does adventure and creative matter for somebody? What's your intention? All right, I'll give that one. I think go do it.
I'm sorry, this is Alyssa Lee. I said to push my boundaries, both creatively and in adventure. And so for my goals, I put, just making sure that I'm doing art. It's something that I like to do. So making sure that I'm actually doing it and on a regular basis. And then for adventure, just create opportunities to explore on a monthly basis.
Cool. That's awesome. Financial, anybody need to, I'd love one person quick on financial. Why is financial investments? And that should be a slash, financial / investments. So one is your active income and the other is passive. Why is that important? What's the intention of financial success?
Freedom.
Being prepared for retirement.
Word. Yeah. Who else? I thought I heard a second person.
I said freedom.
I got that. That's beautiful. Security, margin, opportunity.
Independence. Your own independence, not having to depend on someone else.
That's right. Independence. It also lends itself back to what you're talking about. When you knock it out of the box categorically there, it gives you more capacity to be charitable and giving. Career and work. Everyone have a good intention around why career and work matters? Anyone want to share theirs?
Yeah, I think career and work is the vehicle to, financial investment, joy, a lot of things. So it's almost like a seed. It's like the kind of foundation. It's not the only foundation, but I think it's so much to build upon. So career also gives me momentum. It helps me to be able to partner and connect and kind of with others and stay kind of awoke, I guess you would say, and just also vibe off of other people and learn from others. So just keeps me motivated.
That's awesome. And what I heard you say indirectly is it funds a big life. Like that's what I heard. Like in the middle, it funds your financial and your investments and your passive income and security. All right, awesome. How about education and personal development? What's the intention there?
Ongoing, no matter what my age is, keep learning.
Sure. So why is that important?
To then pass back the wisdom to others coming behind me, rather if it's family, another person, because my experiences will encourage someone else and then allow it to keep going.
That's beautiful. You just helped me frame up the definition of intention. Why is that important? That's really the thing. Bless you. That's all you have to answer. Why is this important? And that's your intention. So why is it important? Because you have something to give back and make a difference with, and that you have value to others, or enhanced value. So that's beautiful. I like it. You can't give away what you don't have. So we're going to take a 8-minute break. We'll come back at 2:30. Is that, am I watched 7 minutes? And then in the meanwhile, go ahead and write down 2 goals if you don't need a break, or you come back and we're going to take another. So we'll just say a 10-minute break. I won't start talking until 25 till. So that's even more than that. We'll go 12, 13 minutes. But inside of that 13 minutes, make sure you've written 2 goals for each category that are short-term goals that'll roll into your 5-year. Did that make sense? All right, cool.
Yeah.
So we'll be back at 2:20. Is that right? 2:25. And then from there, we'll work on the 5-year next for
45, right?
How long do you think we need? 2:40? I think that's too much time. I want to get back on it. Let's say 2:35.
Okay, check.
Cool. All right. Next thing we're going to do is craft. Did I say 2:35 or 2:40? Somebody remind me. I know I kind of bounced.
35.
I see 3 people back. So that's why I thought I said that. And the only reason I didn't go longer is that the next section is I can cut you loose and you can still go handle, if you have some personal things to do in between, but ideally you'd stay the course and keep working on it. So the next step is to take it's called the Treat Yourself Category Worksheet. It's this guy. It's 4 pages, I believe, and it's 3 categories per page. I'll show you what it looks like if it's not obvious. Well, I say I'll do it. It's not up either. See if I can pull it real quick. Here we go. Did everybody see that? That's a yes. Cool. Thank you. So the idea here, I should actually retype the top to say 5-year future self category worksheet. So it's 5 years from now. Not all of these will be in year 1, 2, or 3, or even year 4 and 5. And to be honest, some of them might take all the way to the 5th year to accomplish the ultimate goal for each category. But let your mind wander. Just stop and take a deep breath and imagine all things perfect categorically. It's how back to how we're going to eat an elephant, 1 category at a time. What are the 8 things? And by the way, here's a cool point. You might only have 1 thing in a category. Maybe the goal is so simple. And these are goals, by the way, you already have your intention for your family, career, health, and finance. Now, what makes that intention fulfilled and fully actualized? What would have to happen between now and the 5th year, or the end of the 5th year, that you wake up, look at your list, you turn around and you stare down the last 5 years in your mind, and your exact words are, holy cow, my life is awesome. Would everyone agree that if you were to knock it out of the park in all 12 categories and get somewhere between 8.5, 9, and 10, you'd be pretty ecstatic? I mean, that's even 7 to 10. But let's just say you hit your goals in each category so that you're fulfilled in the intention. What has to happen? So print this if you haven't real quick, and then just take the two things that you wrote on the last, on the the short term, make sure those overlay into this because it's part of a 5-year goal, and then elaborate years 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it can be.
I have a question. You said these 5-year future self category worksheet, these help make your intentions what?
These are goals. I should write goal on the top. What are the goals?
These make your intentions
happen.
Happen. Okay, that was
so. If these, whatever you write on this page, Sarah, if they occur, the intention is fully met. Any other questions? That's a good question. If I'm not clear, it's easier to walk around and talk in a classroom and go, hey, try this or look at that, or you can show me. It's hard because I'm just talking to my monitor. So if you don't stop me, I don't know what's on your page. And if you're not sure, feel free to raise your hand. I appreciate the engagement. So you're just going to list the goals in the next 5 years. Quick example, maybe it's your career goal to become a broker. Maybe the goal is to build a 7th level team. Maybe your career goal is to master social media and marketing. And I'm making up things. I mean, that's could easily be a goal. What about what other career goals? Become an expert with supporting my clients around investment properties. Maybe a career goal is to become an accredited commercial broker through the CCIM. That's the accreditation, one of the most well-known. What if your goal is to dominate a particular area, neighborhood, price point? That's a career goal. See where I'm going with this? Those are just some examples, but you don't have to list every, this isn't like the your business plan with every micro goal. This is just kind of big picture goals that in 5 years, if you did these 2 or 3 things, 4 things, and again, it can be one thing that defines achievement of your intention. Any questions at all? All right. So I'm going to cut you loose for about 15, 20 minutes on this. Let's call it 20. We'll go to 3 o'clock. It's almost 20 minutes. And then we'll check in and see where you are. Cool? And these are all going to then translate, by the way, onto your poster or your full-size rendition that I hope you'll get a hold of and do one day, because we have those at the office. You probably don't have it at home. But the ultimate goal is to take these goals and plant them inside of your future self full-size poster vision board, if you will. And I'll get to that next. But for now, just one bite at a time, come up with whatever goals required to hit your intention per category. Thank you. Is that a thumbs up? All right, I don't have full on thumbs up.
Rick, for me, it was hard to differentiate between adventure and travel, like for instance, and finance and charity. I kind of put those two together, romance and relationships. I mean, I don't know, I had trouble. I guess you can have them in multiple, you can have the same goals in multiple categories.
Yep, you can. So the idea here is that it's freestyle. Like as long as everything's represented on your page and on your ultimate goal list, it doesn't matter what category it's in. It just needs to be present. So don't get hung up on the details and the minutia. This isn't about perfection. It's about representation, making sure that all key categories are represented. I'm going to try.
Rick, this might help Sarah. I had to put like things on one page. So instead of having them, like I would write together, relationships and health and family is on like a one, like my first page. I just renumbered put them in different orders so that if there were things that were alike, I could see them on the same page together. So that I sort of put them in your 4 quadrants. You know what I'm saying? I put the pages together like the 4 quadrants.
Well, and that's coming next. So let me show you this Where's my clean version of a 4 quadrants? So this is a version of the 4 quadrants. It's got some explanations. Ignore the type inside of each one, but just realize you're going to fit these onto. Did everybody get the blank version of this happy face with the 4 boxes? I didn't pull it up. I should right now. Give me a split second to see if I can pull that up instead. Now I'm bouncing all kinds of things. 1 second. All right, I should be able to get it now. Hopefully. That's so annoying when I open something up and then it's not there. Can you see it now? No?
Nope, can't see it.
Aren't there on your screen? They're on my screen.
There it is.
Okay.
I see
I
it
think my
now.
Zoom wigged out because it's asking me for reports. If for some reason I completely fall off the planet, I'll just come back as quick as I can. Technology. So these are the key 4 areas that you're going to take all of those 12 categories and you're going to crush them into one big sheet of paper. The challenge is this is an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And Laura, by the way, thank you for the explanation. And so as you can see, if you're going to take 12 categories and there's 4 main boxes, some things have to be merged. Does that make sense? And so I've taken the liberty of suggesting the categories that might merge together. The first one is career, work, and education. Those just feel like they go together. I left investments and financials separate and on its own strictly because not all of your vocation or your work is directly correlated to a big financial future. So that's where you might have owned 5 rental properties, enhance my retirement by, allocating $1,000 a month auto drafted. That's an example of maybe a goal to hit your net goal in 5 years. And then personal, family, and charity seem to fit into a quadrant to me. And then the bottom right is recreation, hobbies, leisure and travel. That felt like common interest, common energy. I've sent you this. You're welcome to modify it, retype it, start over, do it differently, do it upside down. It doesn't matter to me. The idea though is that you want your entire 5-year future self to be reflected on one sheet of paper. And this is the best I've got for you for right now. That make sense? Any questions? Is that a yes? No questions. Okay. And I don't get it. Thanks, Ashley. So the idea now is to pull out your category, your future self category worksheet, that right there, full of all your grand ideas, and decide how they merge. If you have 1, 2, or 3, or like if you had 8 in one category, maybe you summarize it into one sentence, or instead of having 8 separate things. But you're going to want to pull from it the things that matter most that you want on your vision board. The idea behind this particular sheet is that at some point you're going to come to the office and we've got sticky backed poster size paper that we use on our easels for teaching. And you guys know what I'm talking about? They're like roughly, 3 feet by 4 feet or 2.5 by 3.5. And they have a sticky top that you can put on the wall. And it's kind of like that miracle tape that doesn't leave a mark. So you can look at this. Oh my gosh.
Jot it.
Look at Laura's zipper. Can you unmute so you take center stage?
This is the one I did last year.
Look at that. And she's back again. It must have been good or completely deficient.
I've accomplished some things, changed some things, but it did keep them top of mind. I guess that's the way to put
Awesome. So this is kind of your practice form on an 8.5. Thank you, Laura. That was really helpful. This is your practice sheet. So you can just write all over it. And I would just take any goal that fits into one of those boxes that you want represented, write it in the box. And so that's what we're gonna do for the next 10 minutes is you just write in the box. By the way, I recommend you print 2 of these. Do you have the ability to print where you are? Hopefully. If you don't, take a clean sheet of paper. If you want this to be your finished product for today, take a clean sheet of paper, write the 4 headings on a clean sheet, and then use that as your practice. And then when you go to do, because what we're going to do next, I'll go ahead and spoiler alert. And I gave you the cheat at the bottom. Can everybody, it's hard to probably read on my screen, but you can read it on your sheet of paper. The way you're going to ultimately do this was, and I may even have Laura hold hers up again in a minute, is you're going to list the goal or objective. You're going to write how you'll accomplish it underneath that, and then how you'll feel when finished and who benefits from the success. So you're going to have a staggered 4-colored explanation around each goal. And some of the goals you probably, if you have too many, you may want to consolidate if they're interrelated. Does that make sense? Because you want them to fit on this sheet of paper. You're probably not going to use 4 colors, a big Sharpie on this because it's a small sheet of paper unless you had fine print color pens. You could do it, but I would expect that you'll take this. Here's your 4 Sharpies that I would have, I picked some colors. And when we do this in the real world and not virtual, I have a bag of this is just one of 3 bags. And I bring all the pens and we go art school on you. And it's really fun and it's cool. And everybody takes a little corner of the training room and starts crafting their future self together. And we're going to make the best of this. We're making lemonade. This is what it is. So does anyone have a question or not clear on what the next step is?
I have a question, Rick.
Fire away.
I have a question, Rick.
Sure.
You mentioned 3 things right before you got into the Sharpie markers and colors. What were the sequence of how you write them in? Tell me that again.
So what you're going to do, and this is where I was going to, let me see if I can find the share on another handout. Hang on 1 second. I might be able to make it easier to understand. All right. I only need 1 page. For some reason, this silly thing's got me on 2 pages. So this gives you an idea of what it's going to be. You're going to have the goal or the future outcome, which is basically the header. And under it is going to be when and what, like what's involved. The next thing is how you'll feel when it's done. And I added a 4th question. And that question can be, it is to me, who benefits? Because some days I feel like I have a complicated brain and some days I feel like it's so simple, it's just ridiculous. And I find that I'm more motivated sometimes by a goal that benefits other people than myself because there's another layer of accountability. And so I like to add who's going to win. If my goal is to have an amazing family, the fact that my kids, can be proud of their dad and, maybe live a big life and maybe role model some of what I did is a huge driver in my goal to be that person. And so benefits matters to me. If you just want to keep it at what, when, and then how you'll feel, that's cool too. What I recommend when you actually do it, what isn't represented in this example is that I like to stagger them. So when you do it on your poster, I make the goal 1 color, the when and what in another color, and then the how you'll feel in another color. That's represented accurately. But I also, if you see my cursor, I would put the buy and win kind of inside to the right a little bit, and then this one inside to the right of that. So when you have this sheet completely filled out, it's easy to spot the goals, it's easy to spot the what and wins, and it's easy to isolate the what you'll feel, not just by color, but how they're staged. Does that make sense? I can probably draw an example and show you what I mean just as easily. So the goal is go to Italy. I'm writing real quick. Give me 1 second and I'll illustrate it. Almost there, people. And the last one I'll feel. Here's a basic explanation of that. Can everybody see that? So go to Italy might be the goal. I stagger the next thing is what's involved. And I just made this up on the fly, but save the money. You might have to actually create a budget because you don't know how much to save, but I'm just going simple. And then choose the locations and then buy the tickets. The next question is how I'll feel when huh? Can
Are you
see it?
showing us that? Because I don't.
I thought I was.
We're still on the
Oh, you know what's
worksheet.
happening? Let me stop my screen share. Maybe you can see it then.
Yeah, we can see it where your face is, but we can't see it on the screen
How
share.
about now? Is that
There
better?
you go.
So go to Italy, save the money, choose a location, buy the tickets. I'm reading it in. Is it backwards on your screen or just mine?
It's right.
It's backwards
Okay,
only on
good.
yours.
Mine is backwards and it's really hard to read. But if I'm able to do this, I'll feel successful. I'll feel loving and adventuresome. And who benefits? Me and my wife, because it's a couples trip. That's just happens to be the context. So there's the 4 layers. See how I staggered it? And you'll, of course, have to write small to fit it on your page. But that's the way I want it, each category. I promise you, when you glance at your sheet, you won't have to work hard to figure out what each element is when you do it in different colors and you stage or stagger. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That'll be one item out of all of the items that show up in each of the categories. Who has a question? So here's how I would do it. I would pull out the category, this guy, and then I would just leave enough space that you could write really small underneath the other 2 or 3 questions. Does that make sense? And I would put a dot, like once you do your practice positioning of which category each of the 12 things falls into, then write out the big rocks. You might have 3 or 4 or 5. You may only have 2 or 3. You might have 10. It's however you did this. And then put bullet, like a little dot in front of each major heading and just leave enough room to write the goal. And then I would write all the goals out first and just stage that sheet physically. And then go back and put what's involved or a timeline or some detail. And the questions that Lee asked about are on the bottom of that sheet. Does everybody see the questions? Is it obvious to you now? I tried to make this as user-friendly as I can, but it can be confusing. So if you're not clear, it's perfectly okay. We can keep explaining.
I see the questions now. Thank you.
That's awesome. We're in good shape. What you got?
What time do you leave for the airport?
I think it was 5:30.
Okay.
I'll double check. Thank you. So here's another graphic example of what I'm saying. So like if these were in your recreation, leisure, and hobbies, I made these up again. So one of them's like travel to Europe, play guitar, hike, bike, and ski, beach time, and learn to paint. Those might be your things for that category. Just put a dot and space them out and leave enough space that you could go real small and write in the next 3 questions staggered underneath it, just so that you're staged again when you put this on poster later. Does that help a little more?
So those are your intentions pretty much, you're saying?
Those are actual goals. Like you
those are goals, okay.
The intention would actually kind of go at the top if you wanted to express your
Okay.
intention. These are literally the things that have to happen that in 5 years, your life is amazing. And I think the intention kind of shows up in why it's important or who benefits. It's one of the sub questions. The first thing is the goal. And this is 5-year big thinking. So just let it rip. I mean, don't be afraid of it. Embrace it. Write it down. Inverse paranoia works. The world wants you to have it. We'll take about 25, 30 minutes to do this, and then we'll come back together and see where you are. Is that cool? All right. I'm going to be here. So if you have a question, just click on unmute and go, hey, I have a question. Your question's probably someone else's too. How's everybody doing? Thumbs up? Any questions? All right, I'll be here if you need me. I'll be back in just a couple of minutes. All right. How we doing? Did anyone get all of their goals applied to the grid? Not yet.
It's a big job.
Well, you want a big life.
It's
That's why.
huge.
If you were
Yeah.
simple, it would be
It
easy.
takes time.
So there's no right or wrong with how far along you got, other than my only fear is that if you don't stay the course and keep working at it until you get at least a rough draft completed in its entirety, you may not come back to it. And that's a shame because we all get busy. Let's go another 10 minutes. Keep
I can
swinging.
see why you would say you want to do that. We should do this with our spouse because it's a, most of the goals would include a partner of whatever kind.
Yeah, I agree. And it would be also brilliant that if we all have spouses that think and behave and see life differently or the same. Maybe they're identical to the way you think, but mine's not a big planner, charter, graph. Like that's not her MO. So, but I still want to know that my goals align with hers. So there's nothing in conflict. And also, she can say, here's what I want. And I want to make sure that my goals also support her in her worldview and how she wants to go at it, So just be kind and thoughtful in your approach and don't scare them with your, I'm going to conquer the universe. And they're like, well, where am I in this picture? So my best advice is make sure their name shows up a few times so they feel inspired by your common interest.
So we should really have 3 to 5 for each category?
There's no rule, man. If you had one good one in each category and it made you feel fulfilled in 5 years, then you hit a home run. If what you write shows up in 5 years and you feel like your whole world and life is really in balance and fulfilled, you win. So there's no this isn't a competition who can have the most, nor should you struggle for it. If it doesn't come to you, maybe more comes later, but put down what you know would matter now and in 5 years. Did that help?
Got you. Yeah, I guess it's difficult because I'm stuck trying to figure out how I'm going to do it.
So I'm glad you asked that. So I know everybody's still working. If you are, you don't have to unmute or take your, put your video on, but I'll share with you a little thought about that. I think the how is less important than the what today. You have 5 years to figure out the how, Kurt. Let the world show you by simply asking the question every day. If there's something you want, I love this saying. It's an Andy Stanley, Buckhead Church pastor used to say this, and I've never forgotten it. My prayer is simple. Give me the wisdom and the power and the power to act on it. I just want the wisdom so that I see what I need to do or see what's coming at me or what I can, and then give me the courage. Courage is actually not the power, it's courage to act on it when I see it. And so if you just ask for wisdom every day and you look at this list every day, I promise you it's coming. And it's not always a what. Sometimes people get hung up on what they should do or what they have to have or what vehicle or lever. And often it's a who. Who do you need in your life that has a skill set, a gift, or a natural aptitude to facilitate the accomplishment? High-minded business people let go of what a long time ago and started thinking who in my world, in my organization, and in my life helps me become a better me relative to what you want from it. Does that help?
Yeah, it does.
You look at it every day, you'll figure out and there's another saying too, if the why is big enough, the how will come to you. If the why, like why you want it, is big enough, the how will come to you. I want to start an entrepreneurship center for teens. I'm terrified of my goal because I can succeed a lot of things that I already know I can succeed at, but I don't know if I have that gift or if I have the resources or the bandwidth. But I put it to the universe a few years ago that I wanted that. I now have 4 people in my life right now that are also in the conversation, helping me fashion a perspective around how the collaborative energy could make it happen. And it's no longer about me, it's about a we, and we's way more comforting when it comes to big goals.
Yeah.
Does that help?
It does.
Okay.
What did you say was a good quote? If the why is big enough, then what?
The how will come to you. If your why is big enough, the how will come to you. You'll figure it out, or at least you'll see clues that lead you to the how.
And what was your quote with the wisdom? Give me the wisdom.
Lord, my prayer is this every day. Please give me the wisdom and the courage to act on it. Give me the wisdom. That's just the knowing part. And then the heart, I promise you, you have more wisdom than you ever imagined once you dig deep. Your heart knows where and what to do or where to go most of the time. It's just the courage to take those steps to just get it started. The hardest part of a big endeavor is the start. Once things get, there's another thought behind it too, that momentum is your greatest friend. It's easy to keep something in motion that has motion. It's hard to start it from a standstill. So some of these, don't get hung up. Remember I said, give yourself a break, take a deep breath. It'll come to you over time if it's on your list, but it'll come in time. Just the fact that it's on paper and your heart says you want it, that's the why part, Blaine. You've got to, that's the part also behind the intention is the why. So we'll go another 8 minutes or so, and then I'll come back, and I can go till about 4:15. I've got to catch a flight, but I think I'm good to go if we need a little extra time. So I'll quit talking so you guys can focus. How we doing? All right. Are we, if everybody could turn on their camera just so I don't walk all over your progress. And then if 10 was, I got all of my stuff listed on there. I have the 2 or 3 questions for most of them. If you feel like you nailed it and it's a 10, show me a 10. If you're like 7 or 8 of the way, like hold up your, how close are you to actually crushing it and feeling like you can now take that and draw it on a big poster paper and there's your vision for the next 5 years. 10, you're complete, minus some thoughts and backfill of information. Like it can't be perfect in a 2-hour experience. We're talking about 5 years and perfect you, but does that make sense? 1 to 10, how far along do you think you are in putting on paper and feeling good about it? We got 7s, we got 8s.
Yeah, yeah.
Not the quality, just the quantity. Quantity of completion, 5. Okay. So I probably should have made this class till 5 based on the responses. Thank you. Being respectful of the people who have budgeted time and knew it was 1 to 4. I'm gonna close out with some thoughts. So just take a deep breath. And my ask is, if you're not going to be able to finish it today, like you've got all this, whatever's coming your way, make an appointment with yourself to work on your life, just like you want to work on your business, and set it as soon as you can while this is still fresh and you've got the adrenaline flowing. And if you can keep doing it now for the next couple hours, whatever it takes, this might be the best 2 hours you've ever spent in terms of an outcome and perspective and being really clear about your mission. Is that fair? Hold your hand up. You're committed to doing it now until you're done, or set an appointment this week. And this week, heck, it's Thursday, right? So before the end of the weekend. Okay, thanks. I got your commitment. I took a screenshot mentally. I know who you are. Thanks for smiling. Smiling is powerful, by the way. It's contagious. So I'll close out with a few thoughts, and I'm going to keep this on. I've got a few things. I'm getting ready to, again, go to the airport, but I'll leave the video up. If you have questions, I'll pop back in. And if you have, just jump back in with questions anytime. And I don't know, does everybody have my cell phone? I'm about to give it to you. You ready? This is the most, this is the most valuable thing I sincerely believe that I get to do with you. I feel like among all the things I teach and share, if I can help you get clear in where you want to be in 5 years and you have quantum leap moments and feel fulfillment holistically, you win and I win as a friend. And so here's my cell phone. Any day, anytime, you can text or call me, and I'm happy to discuss any piece part. You're like, Rick, I got this idea and I'm stuck. What do you want? What do you think? I'll be your soundboard and your supporter. I'll be your cheerleader. I can coach you a little bit, whatever you think helps you. Here's the number, 404. I probably should just type it in the chat, but heck, here we go. 735-4444. I bet it's in the chat before I know it. The power of team. 404-735-4444. So if tomorrow you wake up and you're like, I just didn't want to admit that I was lost on this, or I needed help in the group, that's totally cool. We'll jump on a Zoom and we'll have some one-on-one time. So here are some closing thoughts to consider. I'm trying to decide what to share inside of 5 minutes. So above all else, figure out your big why and why things matter. That's the driver behind, that's the greatest fuel on the planet. And I do believe that happiness is when purpose and passion align, and the result will ultimately lead to significance. And that's all most humans really want, is to feel significant or having purpose. And so it happens when you align your heart with your mind, and then you do the work required. Also remind you, like, if you had a slogan or something that defines your life, you know, there are people that are really clear, like add value, make a difference, be the best me, write it on the top of your sheet, like make that your mantra. And so just another bonus you could add, and that, like, absorb that and be okay with it being great. Like, just get okay with greatness, because that's your intended purpose in this lifetime. And I've also found that I've never met a truly grateful person that wasn't really pretty happy. And so inside of all of the challenges life brings us and the pursuit of perfection and the pursuit of this big 5-year goal, man, just find a way to be grateful for every day and the opportunity to swing at it one more time and get an inch closer. And you put enough inches together, you'll have miles of benefit and miles of success. Make sure that if it's important, remember I said earlier, it's in your day planner. If it matters, it has a sacred space and an appointment. Everybody got that? Don't leave it to chance. It's like if your goal is to have 6 vacations in the next 12 months, call a travel agent or go online, book them now, and then make appointments in your day planner. I've never missed a trip that I booked. I've missed lots of opportunities for trips because I got busy and woke up at the end of the year going, dang, that was a crazy wild ride. But I didn't really fulfill my personal stuff. Gary would also tell you, Gary Keller, my greatest mentor, would tell you that always start with your personal goals first in your day planner and then backfill your business goals because they will occupy the space you allow it. And if you go straight business goals, there may not be space allowable for the personal things at the end of the day, end of the week, end of the month. Does that make sense? So book your personal goals first. Start with health. If you say, my health is my most important thing, I should be able to open your day planner and it will be obvious that that's the most important thing in your life. Fair enough? All right, I've worn that one out, but it's really important. Strong social network. I said this a little while ago. I think, I don't remember who asked the question. It might've been Kurt, that it's that the how is tied often to who, not always what. And that the more contribution minded you are, the more people are going to be attracted to you, especially talented people. And the who, if you unlock who in your life, life gets so much better. People, and so tied to that is I always want role models and like, who am I emulating? Who am I chasing? Whose tailwind am I picking up momentum from? And I've realized there's no one person that's good at all 12 at the penultimate level. And so I would kind of, if something's important, figure out who you're chasing, a role model, someone, the cool thing about podcasts and online, there's experts in every category readily available, and figure out who it is that you want to emulate, but categorically, not holistically, because we've all got our strengths, our weaknesses, and some things we're working on, but figure out who that is categorically. Cool. You're not alone. That's what I want you to hear. We're in this together. I think one of the greatest gifts our company has brought to an experience is that we're collaborative by nature. It's our mantra that we give. We just give. We're an open books company and we're an open-hearted, minded group. And so don't be ashamed or afraid to ask for help. The number one determiner between reasonably successful and hyper successful people, in my opinion, is their willingness to ask for help. Because there are people that are starved to feel substance and purpose. And by you not asking, you've actually deprived someone of an opportunity to feel fulfillment. It often feels like you're bothering people. It often feels like you might be distracting, or maybe it's not important, or they're too important, or I've proven it over and over again. If you pick up a phone and ask, I interviewed probably 15 multimillionaires last year on my Zoom calls, Rockstar Zooms. You think they got stuff to do? You think they're busy? Absolutely. I had one person say no last year, and it was a soft no. And it wasn't a no, it was a no right now because I'm focused on this. And as soon as I get through this, I'll make myself available. I had authors. I had multi-millionaires. I hope you guys go back. I had a guy, Mike Ayala, on my show, his budget. So the other thing I would say is what you value is where you put your resources and your time and your money. He had a $150,000 personal development budget for this year. Does that sound ridiculous? I have to confess, there's part of me that's like, wow. And I bet I spend, I have 18,000 on one coach. I joined a group that's 12,000 a year plus travel and expenses so I might be around 40 when it's said and done, 50, but 150. But you know what? He's one of the wisest people I know, and he's also one of the wealthiest. He puts his money on things that matter. And his relationship with his wife and his personal growth and his capacity to role model for his kids is his ultimate, that's his big why. So just be aware, man, things that matter require an investment. I think Sarah shared that early on when she took money from when her father, his unfortunate passing, and put that into coaching and personal development. I think that's a beautiful thing. The last thing I'll share is a quick story about a miracle. And the reason I share it is because it's not a me story, it's a we story. I wrote on my very first vision board ever 18 years ago that I wanted to impact kids. Remember, I told you it's still in my heart. So if you've got an interest in that and want to talk, it's my favorite topic. And if you know people doing a really good job of mentoring and elevating conscious thinking among young teens, I'd love to meet them. So just putting that to the universe. But my first take on it was very nebulous and vague. I want to help at-risk kids, people who are born less fortunate, who need want a hand up and some help. And that's literally, I mean, I'm paraphrasing about what I wrote. And 4 years and about 10 months into staring at my vision board, because by the way, you got to go to the office and get one of the poster pages and do this and replicate the smiley face, the 4 quadrants, and draw it up big. Y'all got that? If you don't draw it up big, this gets lost. This will be in a stack of other 8.5 by 11s. If you do it on a 3 by 5 foot sheet of paper, it's hard to lose it. And my advice is put it somewhere where every day you trip over it. Somewhere very visual. It can be in your office. It can be in your closet on the back of the door, that when you go in and pick out what you're wearing, you're like, oh yeah, my list. But anyway, I was working on this goal for philanthropy, and I just wanted to serve kids. I'm like, how do we give back? How do we make a difference for those that don't wake up just lucky? And 4 years and 11 months in, I had killed every goal. Like I did things I never thought I could do because I stared this sucker down every day. I asked the world to deliver it, and then I took advantage when it did in a positive way. That goal would not come to me. It just, and finally I was at the point where my prayers were like, am I supposed to go like do something different to find it? And when I tell you I was 30 days short of my 5th anniversary with it, I got a random call, y'all get this, right? From a guy who says, hey, I know so-and-so who knows so-and-so who knows so-and-so. They know you and they say you're a pretty good guy. And I just chuckled. I'm like, I try to be. And he says, I serve inner city kids and they're in the shadows of the buildings that you work in. He said, can I come share my vision about what I do? And I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. And to be honest, at this moment, I had not connected the dots. I don't know why I didn't in that moment, but I was like, sure, I'll talk to anybody. And here's where he was brilliant. Here's a great way to ask. Go, I'm not asking for anything other than you to consider what I'm working on, because you may know somebody who could help me. And that would be a tremendous gift. He didn't ask me for money. He came in going like, I just want, if you might know someone. It was very innocuous. We sit down in the conference room at the in-town office. This is a long time ago, like I don't even know, 12, 15 years ago. And about 5 minutes in, I started to get he's got a summer camp for inner city kids, and it was spiritually grounded and based. And if you have money to go to camp, you can't go to his camp. And I'm like, man. And all of a sudden I started crying. And he looked at me like I had 3 heads, because it wasn't like the moment where you start crying. And he goes, is this like hitting you in a funny way? And I said, man, you've been on my vision board for 4 years and 11 months. And he was like, you're what? I'm like, you're exactly what I've been praying for. He goes, really? I said, yeah. He goes, that's awesome, because I need like $750,000. And that's where I went, that's awesome. I don't have $750,000. And this is early in my career where I was doing well, but not that well. And I said, well, I don't know how we'll get it, but I believe in your mission, and I'd like to do my best to find some people that might support you. And I feel the emotional energy of that conversation right now. And so I was so freaking excited. I called the regional director, Kay Evans, for our region. He left, and 5 minutes later, I'm like, Kay, I met this amazing guy. And we were going to have a leadership meeting the very next day. And I said, I can't believe this is something I think we can all help with. Like, this is Keller Williams. It's got it written all over it. And with all my excitement and exuberance, her response was, I can't help you with that in the meeting. And I was like, those that know me, I don't take no really well, but this is my boss and the gatekeeper for all of my investments in the future. And I was like, all right, Kay, if you say so. And she did say this in redeeming fashion. She said, I like what you're saying. Maybe we can grassroots this and I can help you network. She said, but our policy is we don't bring charitable or personal investments or endeavors into business meetings. That's our policy. And I swallowed it like a rotten egg. I'm like, all right, fine. If it's to be, it's going to happen anyway. You can't stop it. And I didn't say that. That was in my head. The next day in the meeting, we're about 2 hours into an all-day meeting. I'm distracted. I've got 100 things I wish I could be doing besides sitting in a meeting. And out of nowhere, I'm zoned out. She leans over and coughs, and I mean like a choking cough, and kind of sat back up and looked a little blue, like not healthy good. And I'm like, everybody got our, she got our attention then, and she starts to talk and kind of had a little frog, and she goes, looks me square in the eye and she says, Rick, tell everybody about Camp Grace. I could not make this story up if I tried. The hair on my arm stood up. I felt the presence of something unearthly, like bigger than anything. It was like magic. And I was so lost for words because I'm like not prepared. I'm like, well, okay. And I met this guy, and then I tell this little 3-minute story about what he's trying to do. And afterwards, I just handed out his phone number. And I'll just tell you this, he traveled to each office and shared his vision. 30 offices raised $25,000 to build a cabin at camp. I think we put $500,000 or $600,000 inside of 24 months and really put Camp Grace on the map. It was on my vision board. It was just a thought in my head that I hope someday would work out. So back to you, Kurt, you may not have to know what, it may be who, because there are people who are sitting around wishing they had more purpose in this world, waiting for your idea to spark another person and another person. And the power of we will outrun a me every time. So that was a big moment for me, recognizing this world's big, I'm small, but a little voice can travel. That butterfly effect is real. And so, but the key is it has to be published. What I realized later, the guy that referred me to him was connected through our team. It was a friend of our team. And my poster board was on the wall. He knew that was a goal of mine and connected the dots. He was like, man, you ought to talk to Rick. But so there you go. Any ahas from today? We'll take a couple more minutes. This is hopefully one of the more powerful days you'll have. And hopefully it's the start of something really big between now and the 5th year.
Dream big. That's the aha.
Right on. Right on. I like it. Who else? Quick aha or two.
Write it down.
Put it in writing. It doesn't exist.
Keep coming back so that I continue to stretch and see the goal.
Nice. Nice.
It's incredible how different the goal looks when it doesn't have any time frame or emotion or who it's benefiting, than when you actually take it onto that next level and you're like, wow, this is real, as opposed to just a line on paper. Thank you.
You're welcome. That's a beautiful sentiment. Thank you. Who's got a few?
For me, a lot of my goals benefit so many other people than myself, and I think that's a huge thing for me to realize.
That's beautiful. You can share something on your list you're excited about that you have no idea how it's going to happen. So feel free to, this is just an open expression, a moment of inspiration and expression. Lee Taylor, what you got on your list that excites you?
I don't have anything on my list yet. Well, I just got to go over with Mary first. I really want to do it with my wife, and she wasn't able to participate in the list. So I formatted everything. I bullet pointed it all. I've got 5 on each one. I've got it all set up. Now we just got to fill in the blanks. And we're going to take whole next weekend, Friday, Saturday, and go away and do this.
I think that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Everybody thumb up that. Awesome, dude. Hope you felt it. Who else? We got a little bit of time left.
I'm going to say mine out loud because I want them to happen. I have plans, this is Mika, I have plans to become a television personality with my food and real estate. And I also plan to become a developer and have my own product with real estate that is going to go into the market. That's for the people that I want to be my target client.
That's a beautiful goal. We dig it. Thumbs up, everybody. Throw it up. Feels good to see everybody behind you. Got a little more time.
I have something. I would like to be just listening to you and with all the years that you've been in this, to be unapologetic about my why and to really embrace it. Part of my why is very, I guess it's kind of a little probably unorthodox, but I transitioned from Illinois to Georgia. And part of I received reciprocity here, but one of my greatest things that I've always done is I've been an ambassador for the homeless. And what I do is basically connect landlords and tenants. And I would like to see I would like to create pathways for people from homelessness to ownership, home ownership. So
That's beautiful. You know who's also passionate about that is Justin Landis. Which office are you in?
Midtown.
So he's at the in-town office. If you got my cell phone, I'll connect you. His goal is to end homelessness. The fact that we sell homes, his feeling is that there should be no one without one. And it's a big goal, but this isn't just local. We raised last year, we did a 90 and 90 campaign, and on behalf of homelessness, we raised $166,000 in 90 days. Those of you who aren't aware, we're not going to try. That's a weak word. We are going to do it again.
Yes.
And it's a benefit to you. It's a good press story for your clients. And it's also, everyone contributes a few dollars in your alliance partnership world. And then that's how we generated the income. And I have a nonprofit called Heart of Atlanta Cares that we funnel that money into fully tax deductible and legitimized. And then we repurpose it back to either the Atlanta Mission or the Center for Family Services in Cobb County, which was what the West Cobb office chose to do. But I think we can raise $1 million in 1 year. We have 1,150 people. If everyone raised $1,000, we hit it. You hear that? That's actually not when you break it down, you go, that's not hard. We're only 844,000 away from our last year's success. Who else got time for a couple more? I appreciate you guys staying a little longer. This is like the cherry on top, the icing on the cake. This is the part that, man, you should feel really good about your work and about your thoughts and your energy and your heart.
I just wanted to say thank you personally. This was very impactful, and me starting my career is my second week. So I just want to say thank you. It was amazing.
You're welcome. Welcome to the fire hose. We don't mess around. It's all coming. There's a lot.
I keep hearing that saying.
Yeah, there's a lot to know, have, and do to succeed in this industry. Who else we got? I feel like there's one or two more and then I'll quit asking, but I'm enjoying, this is my favorite part. Like I said, a little bit selfish, but it also inspires me to hear you and then ponder how I might be able to help you. That's the brilliance in expressing.
I want to ditto that thank you and thank you to you, because every time these past 9 months that I've been on a call to hear your wisdom, it makes me continue to believe that the things that I am thinking about big, that is something I've never seen. It makes it be believable. And so keep pouring in, because I definitely appreciate it. And I pray that you continue to be poured back into for as much as you give to all of us.
Don't make me cry. That's beautiful.
Ditto.
Don't make me cry. All right, man, before I start bawling, but you know, that is what gives life purpose, man. Serving other people is the ultimate gift. And so that you picked an industry where it's inherent and it's natural and it's beautiful. So hats off to you guys for doing what it takes. It's a hard career. There's ups and downs.
So we are putting on our list a nice big trip each year. And I was motivated to see that on your little list over here that you shared with people, you had an Antarctica trip. I'm like, that's a big, hairy trip right there. Did you go do that trip?
Yeah. I think you're kidding. Because I went all continents, right? Is that where this is coming from?
No, I saw it on that sheet of paper.
I don't think that was, that was not me. That was a made up trip. I hate the cold. I'm flying to Florida, the most southernmost
Hey,
spot on
wait
Mars.
a minute. You put it out there to the universe. You got to go now.
All right, it's only fair. Just for you, Rick. I'm going to Antarctica. I got to buy some more clothes. I'm like 17 layers short. All right. Everybody good? Have a beautiful day. Please don't let it sit where it is. Finish the drill. Please set an appointment with yourself. Please come into the office and grab 3 or 4 colors. Do each question in a different color and use the same color for the goal, the same color for the how and the when, the same color for the how you'll feel and who benefits. Does that make sense? What'll happen is your eye and your brain will start to connect the dots around how you feel. And that, by the way, when you say, if you were to ask yourself, who am I and what is my big why? It's the combination of all the things you want to feel throughout this whole process. That's who you are, is how you want to feel. And the goal can change every other week, every month. Probably won't, because you're probably focused. But if it did, big deal, as long as you land on the how you feel when you're done. Make sense? Kind of to Akia's point, you don't know what you don't know yet. The world could be 3 times bigger than the one you've created. You just have to be open to the conversation and the potential. Cool. All right. Love you guys. Have an awesome afternoon. Rest of the evening.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thanks, Rick.
My pleasure.